This is The Vietnam War by Teresa Adamson and Phoebe Smock. In the mid-1950s, Vietnam to North and South. The Vietnam War took place from 1955 to 1975 between Communist North Vietnam and South Vietnam. Japanese forces withdrew from Vietnam, leaving Emperor Bao Dou in control, while French forces took back the southern regions of Vietnam. In 1946, a war began between France and the DRV. A battle between Viet Minh and the French led to a treaty that ended 100 years of French colonial rule in Vietnam. To prevent the spread of communism, the U.S. government under President Dwight Eisenhower supported South Vietnam. Under the treaty, Vietnam was divided into North and South Vietnam. The result of the war was an estimated 2 million Vietnamese civilians, 1.1 million North Vietnamese troops, 200,000 South Vietnamese troops, and 58,000 U.S. troops were killed. Hundreds of thousands of children were left orphans. The war ruined both North and South Vietnamese land. An estimated 200,000 to 400,000 boat people died on the sea, and Vietnam became a communist country. The involvement of the U.S. in the Vietnam War created multiple perspectives about the war in America. People were either for it or against it. Many anti-people war didn't like that American soldiers were fighting in Vietnam. They thought the participation of the U.S. in the war was unnecessary. The U.S. spent many resources and $168 billion on the war and ended up losing. The people would also protest the involvement of the U.S. in the war. The nationalist group Ho Chi Minh started the action when he fought colonial rule of Japan and then France because he did not want foreigners in Vietnam. He was right. The southern Vietnam was right because northern Vietnam invaded first and they didn't want this communism to spread. Something that could have changed was the institution of democracy or republic should have been from the very start, so there wouldn't be any communist leaders or dictatorships that would have killed millions of people.